Hi, in this video, I'm going to share with you 5 ways to pick a college. How do you pick a college for your child? Even if your child is in elementary school, what we call here in the United States K through 8, you need to have a plan. You need to have a way of knowing, is my child going to college or not? And if he is or she is, how do I pick a college? Because look at me. Everything I have in my hand is from a multitude of colleges. As soon as your child, who is homeschooled, takes the ACT or the SAT, these colleges are going to take notice and they're going to start they buy addresses and names. And if you start your child like I did, taking the ACT and the SAT in the 7th grade, 8th grade, guess what? You're going to start getting things because you're the adult, and colleges can be confused. They don't know if you're the one. Sometimes I receive things from colleges. I get overwhelmed. Let me put them down. That's a burden. Okay, so these colleges will send me things, okay, not just my son, but me, because they saw my name in the SAT as the adult, or I don't know how the college board communicates with these colleges, and they'll just give them the adult name. So without further ado, let's start. Oh, by the way, that was secular colleges. I went to a Christian college fair recently, and I got a whole bag full of materials from other colleges. Whew. It's a lot. It's a lot. So how do you pick a college? 5 things. Number 1, distance. Start there. How far do you want your child to be with a fever when your child is 18? Hopefully you're not thinking of sending your child away to college at 16 or 17. Let me tell you, not worth it. So here's your child, an adult, 18, but your child, it's November, and it's like November the 2nd, and your child has developed a fever. How far do you want him to be away from you? Yes, they have friends. Yes, they have nurses on campus. But do you want to be a plane ride away from your child? Does that matter to you? So distance. Distance comes first. That will help you narrow things way down. Then secular or Christian. Again, another criterion. Do you want your child to be in a secular or in a Christian college? I had a very well-known preacher who is on TV. If I said his name, you would not all, but many of you would recognize him. He approached me and he said, "Where are you thinking of sending your son?" And I told him a few options, and he goes, "Whoa, don't send your child to a secular school." You know what? I'm not that scared. I know what I put in my child. And if he goes to a state school or a small liberal arts, non-sectarian is what they call them, a secular liberal arts college, I trust that my son will plug himself into Christian circles, the local church, blah, blah. So, but some people don't want that. And this particular gentleman said to me, if your child goes to such and such Christian university, he will have people all the time tell him to go on a mission trip and join the missionary ranks for a few weeks, a few days, or for the rest of his life. And I don't know if that's a good enough criterion for me. Do I want my child at 19 to go through the jungles of Africa with some individual that doesn't even have children or has a couple of children of his own, and he's just like adventurous? And I don't know. I don't think that's a thing that I want to put my kids through. I don't want them to have the pressure of somebody telling them, you got to go be a missionary. But that's me. You may want that for your child. So that's criteria number 2, secular or Christian. That will help you narrow this stack down. How about the major? What major does your child want to be? Or is he undecided? Because you know what? In Tennessee, especially if you're undecided, We have a beautiful way of taking care of the first 2 years of college at the local community college for free. For free. Okay, so your child is at home, age 18 through 20, free college. They can have a little part time job. They can help around the house. What a beautiful way of taking care of half of the college, right? 2 out of 4 years. Number four, finances. This is a big one. Once you've narrowed everything down and you start receiving letters, my son has started receiving letters of acceptance, and after that come the letters of financial offers. Okay, so you got to make yourself a little table and say, okay, he's applied to 6 colleges or 5 colleges. Let's go with 5 because I've got 5 fingers. So 5 colleges, and 2 of them are giving him full ride. Okay, that sounds good, right? How about these other 3 that are giving him so much money? Out of what? Out of what amount? Because if you have an out of state status, follow me along. If your child is applying out of state to another state university, your child will be an out of state student, which means instead of paying 20,000, he might be paying 35,000 in tuition. And all of a sudden they throw 12,000 at your child. You got to do the math. You got to do the math because that's not enough. Some people get excited. Oh, it looks like 50,000 for the whole university cycle in the 4 years. Yeah, 50,000 out of 150. That's not a good deal. That's not a good deal. Okay, so that was number 4, finances, huge. That's how you pick a college. And then you go to number 5, intangibles. Intangibles. What am I talking about? Go to the Wikipedia page of that university. Now, I don't put much trust in Wikipedia, but it can lead you to some interesting discoveries. For instance, I discovered the number 1 and the number 2 drinking schools in the United States. And by the way, for those of you whose English is not your first language, a school in America is also a university. Okay, that's what we call them. So I discovered, and I'm not going to name them, the number 1 drinking school in the United States, number 2. I was like, I didn't even know that was a category. So intangible number 1, is this a partying school? Excuse me. Is this a partying school? Is this a school where, the keg party supersedes every other endeavor? And how about the campus itself? Have you walked the campus? What's outside the campus? Just outside the campus. Okay, is it scary? Is it weird? Is it out in rural areas that you've never heard of, that you couldn't reach your child unless, a helicopter came through? Or is it like next to a 6-lane highway? You have to look at all these intangibles. And maybe we're going back into distance, but the campus is very important. How about this other thing? Does he know anybody? Does your child know anybody in the area? Do you know any graduates from that university? I'll tell you a story. I have my own preference for my child to go to a particular university. And as soon as I crystallized it in my own mind, of these 5 colleges, I would like for him to go to this one. All of a sudden, people that I knew in my circle of influence, all of a sudden they started saying, oh, I graduated from this school. Oh, I graduated from this college. Really? Like, I didn't know. And these people started taking my son aside and talking to him about this particular school. I couldn't believe it. So there are intangibles. As Christian parents, we pray, right? We pray. That's where the intangibles come in. We pray, and there are influences in our minds and in our circle from people that we didn't even know went to that school. You will hear things in the news. You will see things in the newspaper. You will get things in the mail from, there are schools that want my son. I'm going to be honest with you, and not that I'm bragging, but the Ivy League is interested in my son. Maybe they're not that interested. They just want that fraction for exclusivity to be great. You know the fraction I'm talking about, right? When they say it takes 4%, Harvard only accepts 4%. Vanderbilt only accepts 6%. That's a near Ivy school. Washington University, Duke, Rice, all these near Ivies, they take 10% or less of their applicants. Well, how do they get to that fraction? The number of people accepted over the number of people that applied. So, of course, they're going to send out postcards to your child. However, you have to realize, even for them to take notice of your child, you've done something. You've done something right. Okay, so my son scored in the 99th percentile for the SAT. Of course, they took notice, right? They pay the college board to give them a list of all the people that scored in the 95th percentile and higher. So that's who the Ivy League is targeting, smart kids. And so my kid is getting postcards from an Ivy League school now, which is far away. We are in Tennessee. All the Ivy League schools are way up north. We're not going there. So we're going back to criteria number one, distance. We don't want to go far. My child doesn't want to go far. So that rules it out. There are other reasons why we don't want to go to the Ivy League school, like number four, finances. They're not going to give you merit scholarships. Okay? So if your child gets into an Ivy League or near Ivy and they don't give you a whole lot of money, don't let that brand name get you into debt, because that's not good. That sets your child up for a life of no choices. Because when you have debt, I know a young lady who graduated with a master's degree. I won't tell you the major. She's got a pretty good job, but $80,000 in debt. And she told me that was foolish. She has no choice but to put her child in some kind of daycare and go to work. If she didn't have the debt, guess what? She would stay home with the child, but she can't. She has no choices. She has to go make money. I remember another lady who is a very accomplished musician, and she had two children, and I said something about, do you want to continue to go to work? And she said, I have to. All right. It takes money to homeschool. It takes time to homeschool. You don't even have to make it expensive, but it takes one parent, one dedicated parent to do this. That means one of the income possibilities goes away. So finances, very important. The intangibles, number 5, very important. And if you have gotten any kind of information for me about this, if you can think about another criterion, please leave it in a comment. Like, share, subscribe. If you subscribe to a channel like this one, the algorithm on YouTube knows, people like to spend time on this platform watching homeschooling videos, and it will continue to show other people homeschooling content. It will help other homeschoolers receive a little more guidance for the day-to-day walk in the trenches of homeschooling. So please subscribe to this channel, especially if you have received value, and I'll see you in the next video.